fellow Africans, since 1957, when Ghana gained independence, there has been quite a lot of political, social, economic indicators on the African continent that show that Africa has progressed from pre-independence Africa to post-independence Africa.
Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. From now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
66 years down the road, Africa finds itself with the first country, Ghana, having gained independence. We find ourselves still locked up, controlled, manipulated, instructed, logistically supplied, equipped by foreign powers that dictate our agenda. Africa is endowed with plenty of minerals, resources, good weather. The climate is so favorable for the growth of food enough to sustain us. But we find ourselves in countries where hunger is killing people. Hunger is killing people because most of the people have taken to arms to fight wars, conflicts. Starvation has taken the place of development. In most African countries like Sudan, South Sudan, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Nigeria, in Biafra, and the north of Nigeria there is Boko Haram, Somalia in the Horn of East Africa. We have taken to conflict instead of development. Development was the key indicator. When Kwame Nkrumah made the first speech that seek ye African political unity, economic development will come automatically, he was right. The events happening in Libya today vindicates Nkrumah, vindicates Nyerere, Sekou Toure, and Anasa, the founding fathers of our Pan-Africanism. The events happening in Central African Republic, in Congo today, as the war of rebels ranges on between the rebel and the rebels and the government and the rebels, vindicates the founding fathers of this revolution. Our independence, therefore, was only on paper. Our independence, therefore, was only in symbols. Our independence also was in signs. Our independence also was in boundaries. That we received our flags, but we never received full independence as by the word independence. Most of the 3/4 of African countries, French-speaking countries, have their budgets being done in Paris. Is that independence? The Paris government or the French government does its budgets based on how much they will get from African countries. Is that independence? Is this the Africa that you want? Is it the Africa that we must look at? Is it the Africa that we shall leave for the future generation? If the answer to you is yes, then so be it. But if the answer is no, you agree with me that this is not the Africa we want to live for the future generation. Our generations and the future generation.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you very much. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the Political Command Center in Africa. Thank you very much. Across in Nairobi. Thank you very much, all of you. The panel in Harare, in Nairobi, in Ngongo Hills, in Kajiado, in Narok. Good morning. Good morning, all of you people of Africa. Good morning, the entire world. Thank you very much for making it to this show. This is Punchline Africa Television with the show Diplomatic Leaks. In this show, Diplomatic Leaks, we go behind the diplomatic lines. We want to hear what the diplomats think about the war in Ethiopia. Have we reached a settlement? I think yes. Are we making progress? No. Is the war? Is it time to look at the after effects, the impact, the spillovers in neighboring countries? Are we creating another Yugoslavia in the Great Lakes region? Any student of political science and international relations or conflict resolution, any expert of that subject, pick a pen and listen to our analysis. It may be, it will help you to pass your exams somehow, somewhere, or an interview somewhere in agencies. Some of us have passed the stage of interviews. We are here to give, to impact knowledge to the people in the scholarly form, manner as scholars. Thank you very much, viewers. First, I will start by a short takeaway of the conflict. In 2018, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia shook hands with President Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea. My first reaction was very simple. I said, oh my God, Dr. Abiy Ahmed does not know what he's doing. I said, Dr. Ahmed Abiy has destroyed Ethiopia. Those were my comments. And I put them in black and white. You can find them on www.panafricanforum, ltdco.com website. I made it very abundantly clear that from the time the Prime Minister of Ethiopia shook hands with the President of Eritrea, Ethiopia was no more. Ethiopia was gone. That was the day Ethiopia broke up, because Tigray and Eritreans, they don't see each other eye to eye. It led to a very big war that divided the two partners, friends of mine, whom I was with. I worked with them from 1987 in London, in Islington and Highbury, near that famous club that does not score goals called Arsenal. That stadium, our offices were just 500 kilometers away from the stadium. We were housed there by the British government by then. And we used to work, all of us, 6 of us, Dr. Matsanga, Zenawi, Dr. Tedros, Isaias Afwerki, and Dr. Nambago, and Dr. Wafula. I was working for the Uganda Community Relief Association as the vice chairman, resettling refugees who are fleeing from Uganda, from President Museveni's regime, and from Okello's regime in London. I worked with Zenawi, Isaias Afwerki. I know all the commanders of Tigray, TPLF, all of them, from the former ministers up to Dr. Tedros. I don't want to tell you the story of Dr. Tedros, but I will keep it for another day. When he was appointed the World WHO, I said, oh my God. So I I still stand as a testimony, as a person who knows Ethiopian internal dynamics politically that has led to the current situation that we see today. In our previous topic, we said devolution could be dangerous if not well harnessed. I was right. The question of devolution in Ethiopia, therefore, has played a key role in making sure that more people, if resources equitably not distributed, resources go to one side, there's bound to be a reaction from the other side. After the 2018 handshake between Eritrea and Ethiopia, things started to go wrong. Dr. Abiy was given a Nobel Prize, shared it with somebody else. And again, I said, oh my God, that's another big problem. Dr. Abiy came on a platform of NGOs, civil society. For those who don't know, maybe, he has never worked anywhere. He wasn't a politician. He was purely a technocrat, working with NGOs, like the present Prime Minister of Sudan, Hamdok. They have never worked anywhere. They have only worked with George Soros and other agencies. There was bound to be conflict of interest because the West wanted changes in Ethiopia. The West wanted changes, reforms politically, release political prisoners, give democracy. A fragile state like Ethiopia with a great economy, a very great economy and a sound security system that was supported by the Tigrayans in the security sector was a state of envy for the Western countries. Some of the Western countries that have actually helped, logistically supplied, equipped the war in Ethiopia, I will name them here today. For us to stand and watch a stalemate, why a stalemate? Why a stalemate? The Ethiopian government has already told Obasanjo that they will not negotiate with Tigrayan people. Mr. Obasanjo has not come out to tell the truth to the African Union, to the international community, that they have told him so. I had a very long discussion last night on my systems, and my friend from inside Addis Ababa told me that the Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian government has nothing, has no preparation for any discussion of dialogue as far as this conflict is concerned. That's why you saw the Prime Minister going on the front line yesterday, because he doesn't have a timetable for dialogue. Why should a mediator, an African envoy, paid by the AU with our taxpayers' money, continue to lie to us that there is a mediation, while one side has already pocketed him? That is another problem, why there is a stalemate. We have not come out to say what exactly the parties want. We have not isolated the difficulties of the parties. A party which is 40 miles away from the capital city. Another rebel group called ORA, Oromo Liberation Army, is actually 40 miles away from the capital city, Addis Ababa. Remember, the Prime Minister comes from Oromo, which is the huge, big tribe of Ethiopia. But he's isolated because he was an NGO. When others were fighting for freedom to rescue themselves, to reorganize Ethiopia, he was busy doing NGO money of George Soros. Now he finds himself in a catch-22. But another factor is the factor of regime change. There is a very terrible arrangement by the Americans that to the extent Americans have got 9 opposition leaders who have signed a pact in Washington, D.C., that there will be a transitional government. So how do they know there will be a transitional government? I want my panel to crack their heads. How did the Americans know there will be a transitional government? That to the extent they put up people to sign an arrangement to arrange themselves to be able to go and form a government in Addis Ababa. How did they know? Of course, they are part and parcel of the problem of Ethiopia. Ethiopian conflict cannot be resolved when the parties that are supposed to mediate, the 2 mediators, the USA Special Envoy and the AU Special Envoy, are part and parcel of the American hegemony. It is impossible. It is therefore leads us to one question and one solution, that we as neighbors of Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Egypt, which is already sucked in the war. I don't want to tell you a lie. Yesterday I was speaking to the spokesman of the Tigray who wanted an interview on my television. I said I would seek consultations before I put you on my TV. He's a great friend of mine, I know, for many years. He was in the Ethiopian intelligence system. He has now become a great spokesman of TPLF. We spoke at length, and all these problems. The truth is, Egypt is sucked in the war. They are backing Tigray Liberation Army. We should talk facts, not to talk fiction, and not to hide some of the things, because there will be no time to hide. Even if you hide, what about if these rebel forces arrive at Addis Ababa together with Egyptian fighters? What will you say? So it is important that the world knows who is involved. Why is the Cold War shifting its base all the way from Taliban, Afghanistan, back to the continent of Africa and the Horn of Africa? Why? 4 months ago, I wrote, and I think my production team in Nairobi should be able to pull out what I wrote when I said, America, I wrote and posted on Capital FM website. It was broadcast all over the whole world, that America is looking where to dump the Afghanistan hangover and the war in Africa. Italian planes were looking where to dump the hardware they could not take back home, because the natives at home would tell them, hey, you are useless. You came back with all the equipment. Immediately, Tshisekedi across the DRC Congo signed a pact with the Americans, purported to help him to fight the ISIS, which had been planted in Congo. Where did the ISIS come in Congo? There are 146 rebel groups. I'm now telling you today, in the DRC Congo, from north in Yumbe in Uganda up to south in Bujumbura, on the other side of Congo, 146 rebel groups. What are they doing? Surely, now we are creating another frontier of Amhara and Tigray, where Sudani forces have entered Amhara. Ethiopian, Egyptian forces have gone there. Turkey has come into Addis Ababa with Russia. What have we created? We have created another Yugoslavia, a battlefield of Cold War. Have we reached a stalemate? Yes. What do you do when you reach a stalemate in peace and conflict resolution? You seek way out. What way out can Kenya learn from this experience of Ethiopia? You seek to protect your boundaries. And I'm glad His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, together with his advisors of military and security, they have secured the Kenyan border by closing it with Ethiopia. But this does not stop the spillover, because let's now see how we can manage the spillover difficulties that are going to come. Because they are going to be very many, there will be hundreds and hundreds of refugees fleeing across the border. Is there a stalemate? Have we ended? Have we reached the end of the peace process? Yes, because of a bad mediator, a bad mediation, the double standards of the Americans, creating a government in transition, which has fueled the crisis in Ethiopia. I submit. Thank you very much, viewers. I now allow the panel of Wanjala Baraza, Alcatraz from Harare, Wanjala from Ngong, Olisasina from Narok, Sharon from Nairobi County, Wesonga from the CBD, Punchline Africa Television. I begin with Alcatraz. I want to hear your views on this issue. That's my submission.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Masanga, for giving me the floor. I'm Alcatraz from Harare. I'm following the events in Ethiopia with close intention of knowing what is really happening. But surprisingly, from my research, I've seen an external igniter to the situation in Ethiopia. And then I reach a consensus of saying Ethiopia, we are back in 1991 when we were witnessing the events in Yugoslavia. So Ethiopia is another Yugoslavia in Africa, in fact. Let me start by pointing African Union as the first blame on this issue. African Union was formulated to maintain peace in Africa, to safeguard the safety of Africans, the whole continent. But I don't know why they keep trusting General Obasanjo as the mediator to such critical crises. We witnessed how Obasanjo handled the Congo crisis, the Sudan crisis. Definitely, those two instances reached a stalemate to the extent of seeing each of the sides giving in or winning. And definitely that is what is going to happen in Ethiopia. We are here just to write, I think, the post events, not the due course, the due course of how events are unfolding. We already know the results. If a robust action isn't taken very soon, we are going to witness another Yugoslavia in Africa through Ethiopia. Then there's a foreign hand of America. We know what happened in Libya when America supported the rebels. The Tigray forces they are being backed with America. It's a fact. We can deny it or whatever, but it's a fact. They can't stand alone on their own to march to Addis where did they get the resources and support? Definitely Zameri. So Africa should be robust to defend itself from these foreign powers who want to navigate through rebels on the proxies which are within ourselves. For now, let me end here. But I see another Yugoslavia in Africa through Ethiopia.
Thank you very much, Alcatraz. The panel, you will agree with, whether you agree, but I agree with Alcatraz that I see another Yugoslavia spilling over to other countries in Africa if we don't run to save the situation. I agree. Mark Wanjara, you are an ardent supporter of peace in Africa. You are interested in seeing a better Africa. We don't seem to be getting a better Africa. In Nigeria, it is sinking every day. In Cameroon, Paul Biya is killing every day. In Somalia, people are dying every day. Democratic Republic of Congo, 146 rebel groups stationed in one country. In Mozambique, Cape Delgado, chaos. Do you see a better Africa? What is your view? Unmute.
It's very unfortunate that at this point in time, we are behaving like Sinjathropas, where people believe that your physique will make you happy. When Dr. Abiy Ahmed came to power and he got a Nobel Peace Prize, at first I thought it is because of having peace in his country, because that is a key thing to have a stable country. Even if you are doing a liberal democracy or whichever way you call it, unless you have peace in your country, you will not go out and have peace with your neighbors. And having come on that, I do not know whether it is the president of Eritrea who advised him that he should sideline the Tigranian party, or I don't know who advised him, or because Tigray as a formation is leaning maybe to the west, and Abiy is leaning to the east with the Russia. I really do not understand. But being a prime minister and seeing your forces, one of the strongest armies in Africa, being crushed in the battlefield, and still you are not looking at the disaster coming, still believing that him as a civilian, an NGO, or let me say a civil rights activist, he feels he can lead the army, which is already disoriented, to go and defeat the fighters of Tigray movement, which most of them were previously soldiers in the Ethiopian army. Is Abiy really thinking right? It's good that Dr. Masanga, you have briefed me about who Abiy is. I really didn't know much about Abiy till he came to power. But the way he's behaving, I thought they should withdraw that Nobel Peace Prize, because the Peace Prize is about you having an approach where you can use conflict resolution. Instead, he's using, he is believing more in violence than than in peaceful resolution. So I'm so actually, we are adding another war theater in Africa instead of expanding peaceful countries in Africa. Because when you look at the countries which are advising their citizens to leave, you see Germany, France, America, Britain, and a host of other countries. It looks that they have gotten intelligence on the ground that this thing is ending in the capital of Addis Ababa. And still the Prime Minister up to today, the latest, 12 hours ago, is Boeing that is going to be the commander in the war theater to crash this decree. How can you do that? How can you do that when the backbone of your army has been defeated? I saw images where even the military tanks have been burned to ashes. It's so pathetic that we can have this. Maybe to make just footnotes on your comments on Nigeria. Nigeria is just a failed state, according to me. It has all the resources in this world. But what you hear happening, like Niger Delta is actually an oil resource. But I was told by people from Nigeria saying that in Niger Delta, we don't have roads. And you know that you can excuse these people burning down the BB shell and all these kind of things, and any trucks going there, and even the oil pipeline, because these people are siphoning oil from there, and they are not giving back to the region. You are not building anything. People are like in a remote place like Congo and that kind of thing. So I'm so worried about the Ethiopian crisis because it's now another problem added to Africa. Instead of us solving the Somali problem, the Mozambican problem, the Nigerian crisis, where the Igbo has been sidelined just because they have ganged up to make sure the Igbo, with 75 million inhabitants, cannot access power because they are plotting to rig elections all the time. And then you are not developing. You are not developing. Once a president takes over, he's siphoning money outside there. You don't even understand what is happening here. So I believe, Dr. Masanga, as you said, you have talked to, of course, some people who are involved in the negotiations. A war cry should be sounded in a way that we need peace in Ethiopia. If not, AU should stand firm and say, we do not want the Westerners coming to Africa to fuel conflict. Because you can see when these 9 parties signed a pact in Washington, it means they have already done analysis and understood that the Ethiopian government is not going to last maybe 6 months. Because now the latest announcement, the Tigrayans are saying they are, as you said, about 40 miles outside the capital. And they say they are moving on, which means that they are not being checked. If they are just like Nakuru and Nairobi, how sure is the Prime Minister going to change the tide and chase out these people? Yeah. So I think I'm concerned, as I can say.
You are quite on spot on all the issues. The concerns are real for Africa. Africans should be concerned. Africans should stand firm and say, enough is enough. We've had enough. The war is sending us shivers across the borders. Each African country surrounding, more so one of the African countries that is in south, around the Ethiopia, South Sudan, whose peace process is fragile. Another African country that is in chaos, Somalia, whose peace process is also is fragile. Therefore, we have concerns as Africans. But let's look back and see Tawish or Sasana. Or before I come to Tawish, because you are an expert on Africa. Let me bring the lady. They will tell us we have forgotten. We have been male-oriented. The lady, then you come up to some. You are an expert on this, and you have been on this matter for quite long. Legacy Sharon, what is your opinion? Are we fighting somebody's war? Have we come to a stalemate? Is it the end? Is the mediator bad? Why are we not moving an inch? Why is there no solution from African heads of state? Where is IGAD? Where is AU? Sharon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga, for your submissions. And my colleague panelists who have actually talked earlier. And indeed, we have actually, safe to say that we've actually reached a stalemate, even with a country that had given us so much optimism, and it's, slowly beginning to dissipate and, dry out like actually a morning dew, which is, quite unfortunate. And unless we actually run to salvage this situation, it could actually be worse. And I look at Ethiopia as a very vital country. Number one, being a country that actually served as a case study, I remember during the construction of the SGR, and a country that has the Ethiopian Airlines, which is actually the most safest and economical in the Horn of Africa. That one we could actually, that is something that we can all attest to. So Ethiopia is, quite a very vital country, so to speak. And I think the best way to stop a war is not actually to start a war, because what happens, it will actually spill a catastrophe in the neighboring countries, and more so Kenya, where we actually share a border. And you actually alluded to the fact that, Kenya has, heightened the security in our borders, because I best believe we are not ready to have an influx of refugees. We do not even have the resources, or enough resources to actually host them. We already have, the Somalian refugees and others. So this is, should actually be quite a concern. And, last Friday, you actually talked about a tribunal, and I thought this could actually perhaps go a long way to actually bring about the aspect of accountability of the lives that have been lost. When you talk about the massacre of people, children being raped, property that has been distracted, and above all, actually having a concerted effort by the likes of, Africa Union, talk about IGAD. There's a need to, call a broader talks with, Ethiopians, and not just, Abiy Ahmed, for us to see, Ethiopia getting back to itself, because remember, when we talk about globalization, we talked about all African countries coming together so that we can actually be part of globalization. We cannot afford to leave any country behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Let me now bring in Wesonga. Wesonga.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Matanga. And of course, these are very, very interesting.
Before you come in, let me bring you up to date of what Sharon has said. A stronger country in Africa is being weakened up by a war. Are we really in a global market, or we are spectators?
Yes, thank you, Doctor. And of course, that only means that we are spectators in the global market. And the fact that you brought into the limelight the reality that the US is actually preparing for a caretaker or a transitional government in Ethiopia. That means that already the die has been cast in Ethiopia. And the conflict in Ethiopia is a bit deep-rooted, knowing the fact that perhaps it also stems from the reality of Ethiopia constructing the Great Renaissance Dam, which was a bit quite not sitting well with Sudan and Egypt. And in this particular matter, Egypt is one that has a higher stake. So if you are having maybe some parties assisting the government of Ethiopia to fight the Tigrayan.
Oh, we lost you there. We have lost you, Wesonga. Okay. Okay, pick it from there, Tawish. The headquarters. Have we lost the headquarters?
Yes, Dr. Masanga, are you able to hear me? So
I hear you now. Yes.
Just to finish, I think,
Nairobi, are we here together?
Yes, I'm able to get you. So
no, but I am the headquarters. Are we okay? Give me a signal, Nairobi. Punchline Africa TV, Nairobi technical team. Are we together?
Yes,
okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so Dr. Matsanga, just to finish up on my sentiment, I think these are very, very big conflicts. And the fact that it's a big conflict, it even needs a much bigger force in terms of a negotiator. And my brother Alcatraz from Zimbabwe said that Olusegun Obasanjo has a history of going into conflict zone. And instead of offering solutions, he goes there and whatever he does is to leave a trail and messed up negotiations that actually plunge these particular fighting parties into much deeper strife. So to me, I think for Ethiopia, for a populous country like Sharon Gitonga said, in Africa, to send someone like Obasanjo is actually to spell doom for those warring factions. And the implications will be that this big population will be displaced amongst the neighboring countries. And that will create a refugee crisis. So to me, I think we are spectators in this. And the West, actually, which are the biggest meddlers in this particular kind of conflict, should give us some stake in resolving this particular conflict. Let them get leaders who can be able to solve these conflicts. We have presidents, we have experts like you, Dr. Masanga. We have countries, African countries, who are much willing to assist and who could actually solve these stalemate amicably, either now or maybe in the days to come. So I think, as per your questions, we do not have the capacity right now because the crisis has been hijacked, and those ones who have been mandated to solve the crisis are not people with the experience that actually equals to the magnitude of the problem that we are facing.
Thank you very much. We are in a crisis. We are in a stalemate. The war, the conflict is biting harder and harder. Are we able to resolve it? Can Africa stand up? The United States of America has issued trouble alert and alerted all the people in the region that there will be a terrorist attack, a heavy one in Addis Ababa. Avoid Addis Ababa. Tawish, bring us home. Tell us.
Thank you, sir.
And give us solutions. Which way do we go now? And as all of you prepare 1 minute,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Masanga, and indeed, colleague panelists, for that submission. Dr. Masanga, we all acknowledge the fact that Ethiopia remains a great country with enormous potential. It has a great people. And it also has the potential really to become one of the biggest economic giants in the region. But as a people of this continent, I think we cannot sit pretty and watch Ethiopia really go down the drain simply because we are not willing to take any action in as far as finding a solution to the conflict that is bedeviling that nation as we speak today. Yes, we understand there's a conflict. We understand it's a political crisis. And we cannot look further, Dr. Ari. And you asked a very good question, is that how do we then find a solution to this? How do we make it better for Ethiopia? These are problems that are homegrown, and we must find homegrown solutions. We cannot run away to look for solutions outside this continent. And if at all there will be any input from the Western power countries, or the international community, it should not be more of dictating Ethiopia or dictating the African continent. They should just but come and aid the structures and the parts that we are trying to pursue in helping Ethiopia really to come out of this problem. My brother Sean Wesonga has spoken about, of course, the IGAD. Has spoken about the African Union, and as much as, of course, Sharon Gitonga. What is it that we are doing as the regional entities really to find a solution to this crisis? Is it too much? Has it gotten out of hand that we cannot have any intervention as we speak now? We must act with the utmost sincerity, Dr. Masanga, if we must find a solution to this crisis. What is the role of Eritrea, for example, in the conflict that Ethiopia finds itself today? How has the African Union been able to respond to this crisis? What has IGAD done so far in trying to find a solution to this problem? Look unto even the envoy. You're talking about Olusegun Obasanjo. Has he added fuel to the fire, or is he trying to strike really a truce in this particular conflict? We must be able really to do an audit and understand how Ethiopia came to where it is today, and what is it that we can do so urgently so that we cannot just go there as now morticians when everything cannot be salvaged, Dr. Masanga. I think this is the moment. It's a moment that we have to put every of individual or selfish interests aside. It's that moment which we cannot have those parochial interests or even be able to support either of be partisan in our approach in as far as finding a solution. We need to bring all the warring parties to the table and have a sincere and honest conversation and dialogue. What is it that is ailing Ethiopia? What is it that these people are really agitating for? Are these matters that the government led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed that are able really to address? If those grievances can be addressed by that regime, or if there's a further intervention they will really need, so be it, Dr. Masanga, because we do not want to see further killing of innocent civilians. We do not want to see more people being displaced, becoming internally displaced in their own country, or even fleeing their own country in fear of their safety and lives. Dr. Masanga, the people of Ethiopia really are in dire need of that peace, stability, and it's incumbent upon us, those of us who are watching from the periphery, really to come on board. I'm talking about the AU, I'm talking about the IGAD and other regional entities to come on board and help us find a solution in this crisis in Ethiopia. I submit, Dr.
Thank you very much, viewers. I want to give my panel a minute each. From Harare, Alcatraz, 1 minute. Parting shot.
Okay.
A stalemate. Why? You see the reasons. There is one good reason that has been brought. The dam, Renaissance Dam. Wesonga brought it up. Is it the filling of the River Nile on Blue Nile?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Masanga. Let me put it this way. Ethiopia is fighting the African war. We are saying no more to modern colonization. Africa should join and say no more. This is the time to say no more to this. This is an African war. A defeat to Ethiopia on this one through the Western proxies. It exposes the whole continent that we are porous to any attack and diversion in our operations. As Africans, imperialists should do away with our issues. We have the solutions on our own as Africans. We should find a closure as people and dialogue on our own without finding any mediator or moderator outside Africa. Yes, African Union did a very good thing by sending Obasanjo, but the candidature of the moderator, but the assignment is good. They did the right thing. We should do dialogue on our own. But the candidature is very wrong. They should find a better moderator, which is traceable history with fruitful results. Every time we know African Union assigned Obasanjo to do this, we presuppose the results. We already have the results. So that's my submission. We should fight this war. This is an African war. It's not an Ethiopian war. The imperialists should do away with our politics. African problems have African solutions, and we have the solutions on our own. I submit.
Thank you very much, viewers. That is Alcatraz from Zimbabwe. Thank you. Mark Wanjala Baraza from Gongo Hills. Karen, is it near Karen? The weather? That is the weather? You seem to be in retirement, Wanjala, my cousin. Are you in retirement? I last saw you years and years ago. Now are you retiring? Retirement? You know, for me, I've reached the retirement age. When in Britain, they are writing letters that I should prepare my place somewhere. I should send my name for the bus, free bus ticket, and the free games at Wembley. Yes, Wanjara. Yeah, you have unmute, please. Unmute, yes, so that we hear you. Yes.
Yes, I like you that you seem to be anticipating some help from British government, but here we have to vent for ourselves. So,
no, I am by my age. Yes. My age, I have passed 6 decades.
Yes.
I am now over 60. The only thing that has been denied of me, your cousin, is the gray hair. Do you want, I needed to come to Ngonga and you slaughter a goat so that the gray hair can come quickly and pour some Luya mechanisms for gray hair to grow. But I passed that area. That's why they are inviting me. I have not said I'm already done. Yes.
Okay. Actually, about the Ethiopian crisis, I thought African Union should move with a lot of urgency to stem this conflict from escalating further. The issue of the Dr. Abiy Ahmed saying that he can't talk to the rebels, to me, that is a very bad show of statesmanship. Because being a prime minister of Ethiopia, these Tigrayans are his own people. You may have disagreements here and there in terms of ideology, but when the nation, what I'm saying is the interest of the nation is above your echo. And you should not allow Dr. President Afwerki of Eritrea to come and advise him how to deal with the Tigrayans because they have issues between them. He should just rise up and say Ethiopia first, and he pursues a way of peace. And AU should just call for an emergency meeting of these two parties, where they are given an ultimatum to go and have a meeting together and resolve this. If we wait for Dr. Obasanjo, maybe because of age is a bit slow, we are going to have a crisis because the fall of Addis Ababa is not going to ensure peace. We shall have a conflict maybe for several years, like we are having in Somalia. I think that's my point that I was putting across.
Thank you very much. Let's not wait for too long. Dr. Obasanjo is too slow. He's not even too slow. He has already got his money to build another library. So I know him for a long time. Every conflict that we go to, I went with him in DRC Congo to negotiate Nkunda, the laying down of arms by Nkunda. The man left me in one building and he went to Nkunda straight. And yet it was me who made contact with Nkunda on my satellite phone. And then when he reached Nkunda, the General Nkunda said, "Where is Dr. Matanga?" He said, "No, he's coming." No, but he had left me behind. That's the truth of it. General Nkunda said, "I can't talk to you until I see Dr. Matanga in the room." So when we arrived in the room where he was seated, everybody in the delegation, we looked at each other and said, "What is wrong with this guy?" You know, he had come only to pick a few diamonds. This type of person, you know, Africans, let's be honest. As long as we behave the way we are behaving, these men, the Americans, they are looking for a place of returning their glory. They lost glory in Taliban, in Afghanistan. Wallahi, they are looking for a place how they can return America back to the world map. And Ethiopia might be the answer for their dream. Sharon Gitonga.
Thank you, Dr. Matsanga, and my colleague panelists have talked so much in length, and it's safe to say that Ethiopia is a very vital country and an economic giant. In fact, if you actually do analysis, Ethiopia is actually the seventh, richest African countries by GDP. So when you talk about the current destabilization of peace and stability, is actually going to bring, really bring them down, even when talk about economic matters, economics. So we have to strive, to hold honest and holistic conversations without giving any conditions. If anything, if we have to seek for partnership, let us strive, to get into symbiotic and not, parasitic aid. And just like one of my colleague panelists have said, that this is not an Ethiopian war. It's an African war, because if anything happens, it actually spills over, to the entire, Horn of Africa. And it's quite interesting to hear even, the AU headquarters is actually based in Addis Ababa, yet they have not, really done so much. So let us, we are, all eyes are, upon the African Union and the IGAD to actually call for broader talks with, Ethiopia. Thank you.
Yes, are you still on?
Yes, I've just finished.
Oh, thank you very much. A new term has come in, parasites. I don't know whether whether Sharon is borrowing some words from President Museveni. Are you becoming a student of His Excellency President Yoweri Gakuta Museveni of Uganda? He hates parasites. Do you know what he does to parasites? He kills them. That's what he said. His Excellency said that. He said he doesn't like parasites. Are you also becoming one of those students of His Excellency the President?
Not really.
But you have said symbiotic and parasites.
Yeah,
so let's not have parasites. Let's not be parasites. Let's not have parasites also coming to us. That's the message you are sending. A man who is telling us that there will be a terror attack in Addis Ababa, maybe to destroy the AU. Did you know that? You know that the building has been a center of controversy between China and America. America wonders how the African Union was given a donation from China of a whole building, which is used as a satellite state to monitor all African heads of state. When we go, that's why I stopped going to Addis Ababa until Mr. Muhammad Faki leaves the place. Then I will go and remove those gadgets. Because the AU is rented to France. We have just rented it to France. We are rented. We are a rented commodity. Can't you see that as Africans? Nigeria is bleeding. Cameroon is bleeding. All these countries are bleeding. Central African Republic. Look at that, gentlemen, lady and gentlemen. Look at the panel. The panel, think when you go back home, what are you leaving for the legacy of this great Africa? Nkrumah is gone. Mugabe is gone. Patrice Lumumba is gone. Nyerere is gone. Obote is gone. Jomo Kenyatta is gone. Sekou Toure is gone. Amir Kabura, Gabriel Nasser, Haile Selassie, they are gone. Mandela is left. Mugabe, the last one. Kaunda went. Who else is going to speak for this Africa? We are left on our own. Yesterday, did you see press conference between President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta of Kenya and President Ramaphosa of South Africa. They agreed. The agreement was very clear, like mine. I had said it much earlier, that they disagree with the situation of Polisario. I support Polisario front. You can kill me, Morocco. I don't care. You can assassinate me. I don't care. But the Polisario front needs to have independence. Why is African Union playing a double game that you invite Morocco back when it is oppressing the people of Western Sahara? Why? Why can't we have a frank discussion on this? Some of us are academics. I'm not going to add another degree on the political science that I've read to the last iota in the planet, on the planet Earth. Wanjara, no. Unless you call me as a visiting professor for 2 hours, you must pay me. In fact, London School of Economics has called me for students of East African community on 4th of January, no, 14th of January in London. And we were haggling. Yes.
Why is also quiet about the Swaziland issue? People are being killed. It seems as if African Union is pro-East and West Africa and
exactly.
Southern Africa.
Exactly. Look at all the people dying. Nobody knows. You can't have 146 rebel groups operating in DRC, Congo, facing Uganda. We are being killed every day. I agree with Museveni on this one. If it is time to reassemble Congo, Wanjala, prepare for that topic. Time has come to reassemble Congo and we change it. We don't need to send the troops there to build roads. Those roads will be damaged by these rebels. Let's reassemble it first. The partitioning took place in 1884. But in 2022, reassemble Congo. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I might sound controversial, but that is what I am. You can't tell me that you want a country that there will be a terror attack in Addis Ababa. Well, I am. Then you are scaring everybody to run away. Then the rebels enter. Have you seen the tactic? Everybody. That's what it is. Who was to go next? Daniel Wesonga. 1 minute only. We're about to finish. We have run out of time. We need to arrange for another show coming in.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Masanga. And my elder brother from Transoya, Mark Wanjala Barada, said that Dr. Abiy Ahmed should be a man of his own standing. He should not maybe dependent on Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea to make decisions pertaining a big country like Ethiopia is. And previously, you have also held the notion that it was the handshake between Afwerki and Abiy Ahmed that was actually the genesis of the conflict that we are having at this particular moment. And nothing could be further from the truth, Dr. Masanga, because was it not for the affront of the Eritrean troops to the people of Tigray, I believe the conflict would have been amicably solved internally by the Ethiopians themselves. But the moment the Eritrean troops crossed the border into Tigray, I believe that is where things fell apart. And therefore, in solving this particular conflict, let people sit down with cool heads and also focus on perhaps the grievances that the people of Tigray have, and also look at whatever the government of Ethiopia is, the steps that are being taken in regards to solving the problem. If it continues that the government of Abiy Ahmed is not listening to the outside voices, is not listening to experts, then we are more than never before moving towards doom that will happen soon. I submit, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much, Wesonga. We better move sober up. But are the mediators and Americans sobering up? Tawish, it looks like he went away. So, ladies and gentlemen, across the globe of Africa, there are many conflicts. One of them is Nigeria. We shall be looking at those conflicts in time, in the future, every day, in our diplomatic leagues and other Mathanga Africa Perspective programs. Tonight at 7 p.m. East African Standard Time, which is 9 o'clock, no, at 7 p.m. West African Standard Time, and some, I don't know what time it will be in Britain, and Europe. I will be live, 300 million people will be watching us in the village square, interviewed from Nigeria with a population of 200 million people, out of them about 120 million watching on the subject. Don't miss that show at 9 p.m. East African Standard Time, 1 hour, the village square. I am on that. It will be captured by Sky News and other agencies, especially Sky News that has picked interest in my analysis on African issues. Frankly speaking, I'll speak like a Kwame Nkrumah. Let's get unity. Economic muscle will come later. Political unity first, economic muscle later. If you don't get it, if you do your devolution wrongly, you will create warlords in Kenya. I've been talking about that this morning. Don't you see Nanok becoming a warlord? Sometime he's bought a helicopter. He flies over people who are already sick. They don't have water. He flies over hospitals that are already broken to pieces. And he comes to Nairobi to demand money, 10% of the oil before the oil comes out of the ground. Are you not setting a ground for a future conflict? My dear brothers, sisters and brothers, viewers across, my brother from Harare, Zimbabwe, Tatenda, and my cousin from Gongo Hills, where you have built your massive house. Enjoy the retirement so far, or the work. I don't know whether you are still working, but you are still below my age, so you should be working. Don't go to retirement yet. I need to come and have that goat in Gongo Hills. Thank you very much, Mark Wanjala. Support your party, whatever you support. I have no problem. But me and Ruto, we are not together. I'm sorry. He misbehaved in front of his elder brother, the president. Remember when Ruto went to primary school, I was already born. You know that very well. I saw my flag raised. I was there at the ceremony. He wasn't there when the flag was being raised in Kenya. Therefore, I cannot succumb to him, neither beg him. For you, you have done a good job. Enjoy. Be a hustler. But I have told you, I will meet you with my Range Rover when your wheelbarrow is stuck. God bless you. This station, therefore, is for Africa, with Africa by Africa child. Thank you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.